Okay, so the midweek meeting was the last meeting I went to. Um, After that, Sunday went by. When Sunday came, I was just like, I couldn't force myself to go anymore. And then when the next meeting came, the next midweek meeting came, I couldn't force myself to go again. And, eventually the elders started like calling me and texting me and asking. At first, they were asking for my ministry time because if you've ever been associated, you know how they are about that ministry time. But at first I actually would respond, but then because I'll be honest with you, like I didn't know if I was inactive. I didn't know, like honestly what was going through my mind was I wasn't sure if I was just going to move and go to another congregation, but I knew it would take me a couple of years realistically to do that. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't go back in there again. And ultimately, I wasn't sure if I was done with the organization in general or if I was just done with like the congregations in my area. Because I was just thinking, is it like just this area of people that I don't vibe with? Like, will I vibe with the witnesses in California? Like, those were some of the thoughts that, were going through my mind. But, yeah, I mean, at first, I'll be honest with you, it did feel weird not going to the meeting just because I had been doing that for most of my life. But I'll be honest, eventually I just got used to it. Like I got used to not being uncomfortable every week, like extremely uncomfortable. Like, of course, there's situations in life that are going to make you uncomfortable, but I don't know. I just realized that I was happier. And just to add on to this, my twin sister, she was studying with a sister in the congregation even after I left. So she kept studying, which I even told her, like, I commend you for continuing and like not letting me be a deterrent. And honestly, like, I really respect her for continuing to study even though I stopped attending meetings, because we had started out going together, but eventually my sister stopped studying because honestly she just began to realize that like the studies weren't completely Bible based. Like the publication, like when my sister would answer, like how there's always question and answer in the publications. When my sister would answer a question, they would want the person she was studying with would want her to answer the way the publication, had pretty much. They wanted her to like agree with like everything the publication said, but my sister honestly didn't. There were just some things that it wasn't actually biblical. It was more of like opinionated than biblical. So eventually she stopped studying and she actually started doing research. And woo, that research, I gotta tell ya. She started, okay, so when you're a Jehovah's Witness, the one thing you're not allowed to do, among many things, but the one thing that like everyone knows is you don't Google Jehovah's Witnesses. Do not put the term Jehovah's Witnesses into Google, okay? They said, the devil runs the internet, like Satan the devil is behind the internet. He has the apostates are going, you're going to see apostate websites if you Google Jehovah's Witnesses. They always say that. So even when I was inactive both times, when I was 19 and recently, never Googled Jehovah's Witnesses. I just knew I wasn't happy I just wasn't happy. So I just passed on the whole thing. But my sister Googled them, and I gotta tell ya, I learned a lot. I realized that my decision wasn't such a bad decision. I'm sure if you're watching this, maybe you've Googled Jehovah's Witnesses, maybe you haven't, I don't know. But these are the things that kept coming up in my sister's search. Australia Royal Commission, the suicides that have been taking place among the organization, people in the organization who have been disfellowshipped. There's a big, I didn't know this, but apparently there's a huge suicide issue among the disfellowshipped. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, anyone who was a witness knows what I'm talking about, but I'll explain. Someone who's disfellowshipped is a person who basically gets in trouble for breaking like a Bible rule. And disfellowshipping basically is when everyone who's in the organization literally stops speaking to you and having contact with you until certain men called elders in the congregation tell you when you're allowed to talk to people again. Like literally, your family, your friends, everyone you know, they're literally not supposed to talk to you until like these men decide that you're not disfellowshipped anymore. And so apparently a lot of people have been committing suicide because literally that's cutting off everyone in their life. Because when you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses, they tell you, 1 Corinthians 15:33, that's a very popular scripture among the witnesses. And that scripture says, do not be misled. Bad associations spoil useful habits. AKA, don't hang out with people that aren't witnesses. Like, don't get too close to people that aren't witnesses because they're going to rub off on you. That's basically like the point of it. So she started finding out about all this stuff. And even the blood issue, like she started finding, like, oh my goodness, guys, I could go on and on and on. If you're not one of Jehovah's Witnesses, or a former one, this video may not make a whole lot of sense, but okay, I'll explain. Basically, Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses don't have blood transfusions. There's a scripture in the Bible that says you must not eat blood, basically. They take that literally, so they don't accept blood transfusions even for their children when it's life or death. There have been so many children that have died because they didn't have a blood transfusion that apparently the organization is paying out the wazoo, out their heinies, to pay for all the lawsuits that have been I guess placed against them. I mean, honestly, once my sister found out all this information, and there's more, but I don't want to rant too much, but that's when and by the way, our mother died because she refused to have a blood transfusion. And here's what I want to add. So basically, recently, the organization, they used to say, okay, no blood, nothing with blood, you're not allowed to take anything with blood. So recently, in the publications, it says, okay, well, you can have fractions. Blood fractions are okay. Wait, what? All these years you told us that we're not supposed to, like, have blood transfusions, but now you're saying, well, you can have the platelets, and basically they started backtracking. And you know what's crazy? When I was in the organization and I noticed that the newer edition of a certain book, when it was talking about blood transfusions, when it had the whole, oh yeah, you're allowed to have platelets, I was like, wait, in my head I was like, wait, was this always there, or was I not paying attention? My sister confirmed with me that's a new, that was not there before. They did not allow you to have any type of blood transfusion, anything with blood you were not allowed to have. Now they're backtracking. There's a lot, but basically, I'll just keep it this way. I started this journey because I just wasn't happy with the way I was being treated, but now I realize that this organization really isn't from Jehovah. I mean, there's the love there is conditional. A lot of people have died and committed suicide. Like, people have died from blood transfusions, like my mother, from not having blood transfusions. And now it's like kind of sort of like okay to have some type of blood treatments. Like, it's crazy to me. There's just so much death behind this organization. I mean, even thinking about the people who have like died because they were practicing, you know, their faith they believed in a country that didn't allow them to practice their faith, because you know a lot of countries ban Jehovah's Witnesses. So there's so many people that die because they thought they were standing up for Jehovah. And I gotta tell you, I don't even know the last time I went to a meeting. Oh my goodness. I think it's been 2 years now. I honestly, I can't even keep track. I don't even know. But I will say this, I'm way happier now. And I don't want to go on and on and on with this. I hope this isn't cut off, but if this video cuts off, I just want you to know that Jehovah is real. For anyone who used to be out there, Jehovah is real. He's just not with those people. I'm going to tell you that right now. Jehovah has had me and my sisters back through